It was a very heavy read, but I didn't want to stop reading it. I kept turning to the back to see a picture of her so I could know that she made it out alive. Highly recommend this book. Don't forget, you are not alone, and your story can save someone else's life. I finished reading A Piece of Cake by Cupcake Brown. It was a powerful read, and I feel like it isn't hyped up enough. This is a great story that actually reignited my inner voracious reader. She was a child who went through a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, neglect, and her way of surviving and coping was through addiction and sex work and ultimately lying to herself and others. It was a very heavy read. I couldn't read it at night, but I didn't want to stop reading it. The way she writes is very conversational. It's very easy to read, and it almost reads like a movie. I would find reasons to go somewhere and read. I would sit for hours to try to finish this book. It was very powerful. But because it is such a heavy book, and there's so much trauma and there's so much in her story, I had to write to process how I was feeling during it. Not that I've experienced it, but having access to empathy will cause you to need to do something with the heaviness. So if you do pick this up, I encourage whatever it looks like to process for you to do that, because it's a lot to take in and it can be very triggering for others. Some of the things that I wrote down while I was reading, I kept saying, like, when will she learn? When will she learn? And then I had to realize her baseline was different. Her baseline of what care, guardianship, parenting, love, acceptance, survival was totally different. It's sad that while she was that age and her brain was developing around these coping mechanisms that created this lifestyle that was detrimental to her. I also noticed that despite her making the wrong decisions, God intuitively guided her to at least keep her alive. There's a lot of purpose in her pain, and we get to see the other side of it because she was able to listen to that internal voice. Well, she said it was God. Whatever that is for you, whether it's your conscience or whatever is guiding you, gut feeling, it encourages you to lean into that. While I was reading this book, I kept turning to the back to see a picture of her so I could know that she made it out alive. I was like, I had to keep, okay, it's going to end well because she wrote this book. But while you're reading it, it does not feel like that. So some of the lessons that I got out of this book, even though I didn't experience those things to that level, we do experience addiction of some sort, denial, and a story that we tell ourselves that may be true or false, but it helps us to cope with whatever we're dealing with. Overall, self-denial and the idea of self-denial and the way we bargain with ourselves to promote addiction, whether that be scrolling, whether that be food, relationships, whatever it is, we find a way to, or like we bargain our way out of keeping our word to ourselves. That is something that we can take away. Also, that sometimes God instructs you to extend love and grace to others without them deserving it or without them even being able to love themselves. And that is a lesson that I learned from other characters in that book who were able to extend love in a way that she never felt, and she had never met those people. They were technically strangers to her, but they shared with her that God told me to do this kind thing for you, so I'm going to do that. And you do it out of obedience. So that goes back to listening to that inner voice. God, whatever is guiding you, so you can function through your purpose, whether it's to help someone else that day or to help yourself. It's important to stay in tune to that, whatever that looks like for you. Another lesson I learned is a lesson in gratitude. As we get towards the end of the book, it requires you to look back and just be grateful, even just being grateful for something that happened last week. You can find a reason to be grateful, but pride can erase gratitude. Your pridefulness can erase gratitude. Something she said, and it's very interesting to read the prayers that she was saying, going back to her baseline, right? And her around the way about a relationship with God. It's never conventional, but it was very refreshing to read that in an authentic way. She said, if he couldn't do it, it was cool because I was grateful for what he had done. What a great way to end prayers. I would like for this to happen, but if you can't do it, I'm fine with it because I am already satisfied with what you have already done. Another thing is that there are no coincidences. There were certain people that were placed strategically, and if they hadn't have been there, we wouldn't have this book. This is another quote from the book that I like. Fear is F everything and run, or face everything and recover. I love that. It's F everything and run, or face everything and recover. You can do one or the other when it comes to fear. You do the footwork and leave the results up to God. It also highlighted the importance of telling your story. She was able to turn her pain into a tool that can be used to help others. And I would go on a limb and say she was saved by experiencing someone who had done the same thing and came out on the other side of it. So before she took her pain and created this piece, she experienced someone who had already been through what she was going through, and that person was able to reach back and say, I've been there before, I can relate to you, let me show you how I did it. And that was a vital tool in saving her. And it's the idea of Sankofa, moving forward while also reaching back. I want to leave with you to reflect on, the book made me reflect on, is how can I use my story as a tool to inspire someone else? And if you're currently experiencing a situation that you're not fully through yet, you're right in the middle of it, you can block off time to research resources or mentors who have also been through what you are going through and lean on them for support, only if you feel safe to do it. Your negative thinking will lead you to believe that you are alone and that isolationism is the key. But that is not how we are wired. We are wired to connect with others. But in order to have those authentic connections, we have to be willing to be vulnerable with people and be authentic. Do that when it feels safe. Find spaces that feel safe for you to be vulnerable, and that takes a lot of courage. Once you find those spaces, lean into them and be authentic, and let those other people pour into you, just leaving you with the message that you are not alone. There's so much that came from this book that can be applied to so many different lifestyles, and I recommended this to all of my friends. It was given to me. I think this is a wonderful memoir, and it's a great reminder of the power of storytelling, the power of inspiring, and supporting others in the smallest ways. It doesn't have to be grand gestures. Even just a small act of kindness can change someone's life. I don't think the people that gave her that small act of kindness had any idea or intention for it to have this lasting lifelong effect, but it did, and it brought her to be who she is now. And this isn't a spoiler, but there is a happy ending. She ends up practicing law and becoming one of the lawyers at the largest law firms in San Francisco. So, highly recommend A Piece of Cake by Cupcake Brown. Be careful, this is gonna get all your attention. If you're on a flight, a long car ride, you don't get car sick, highly recommend this book. Don't forget, you are not alone, and your story can actually potentially save someone else's life.